Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we will cover about the AWS 5 days free bootcamp basically. Okay, earlier it was 7 days, but I just adjust the syllabus for the to make it for the 5 days. Okay, due to some other priorities. So don't worry, I have not skip any parts. So I have just combined with the to manage with the 5 days basically. Okay. So now today is a day 4. We will see about the VPC. VPC. It's a very important topic for the AWS, and then the migration strategy basically. Okay. So today's agenda will be very important for you guys. So if you are watching this video, so please don't skip the videos because you will get lots of bits and pieces informations, valuable information basically. Okay, so it will helps you even obviously it will help in the intro process as well. But in your day-to-day activities, if you get this opportunity to migrate in applications or configure the scalable secure the VPC, so in that matter also this session will definitely help out you. Okay, so just be with the videos basically till the end. Okay, then if you like the videos or thought process basically, you can just comment in this comment section. And additionally, if you have any doubts or questions, okay, so as I said, definitely you can just comment in the comment box. Okay, so as part of the as I said agenda for the first VPC. Okay, so we will see what is the VPC basically, and then we will come to the migration part. Okay, so if you are the newcomers on my channel basically, so just definitely just like, share, and the subscribe. Okay, so in the futures you will get lots of helpful videos. Okay, which will increase your confidence and the skill basically. Okay, so now let's start. So as a day 4, we will cover the BPC basically. BPC it's a virtual private cloud basically. Okay, so as we see in the normal life, when we work as in the data center or any office network or any even in the our home network basically. Okay, we will get IP address range, right? It might be a private IP address range or might be public IP address range. Okay, so basically when we let's say we are working in the organization, right, in the physical machines, so definitely there will be a local LAN network basically. Okay, that is a network. So in AWS itself, network is very important part or mandatory part basically. So without networking part, how we can create the resources like EC2 instance, VPC, load balancer, and all the stuffs. Okay, wherever the network applicable basically. Okay, so the so network is very mandatory part in the day-to-day life or even in the technical life basically. Okay, to host any kind of infrastructure basically. Okay, so without that network part, we can't host any network or any infrastructure basically. Okay, so when we create any VPC basically in our AWS accounts, we will get by default VPC there. As a pure personal stuffs, we can use that default VPC, but in the real time or in our organization, so it will not recommend to use this default VPC because of the lots of limitations, the security. Okay, we can't manage the additional subnets with the custom IP address range what we need in the infrastructure basically when we design the architecture diagram. Okay, so we design with the custom certain IP address range, right? So that is there are lots of other stuffs. Okay, so these are the some limitations and security part. So I will even AWS doesn't recommend in the production environment. Okay, for the practice purpose it's okay to use the default VPC. Okay, so when we create the VPC basically, what we need, so when we create the VPC, we need a CIDR range. Okay, so by taking CIDR range and how many subnets we required in the architecture basically in the before creating the any resources. Okay, so like one public subnet, one private subnet, or there might be a situation like two public subnet and two private subnet. Okay, so and obviously when we create the VPC, we require a component like internet gateway, route tables, security group, NACLs, and other stuffs. Okay, so if you do the hands-on practical for the VPC, you will get this all the knowledge basically. Okay, so yeah, when we created the VPC. Okay, then if you want to, let's say you have a private subnet. In that private subnet, you have any EC2 instance or any database basically, and for that patching activity or any other stuffs, you require internet over there. Okay, in the private subnet. So in that situation you can use NAT gateway as a internet supplier basically. So if you create the NAT gateway and attach to the that use as a for the private subnet, so you will get the internet connection over there, okay, for the private subnet, okay. So just to note down, when we create the NAT gateway, that gateway should attach create from the on the public subnet, okay, not the private subnet. But once you created the NAT gateway by using public subnet, then you can attach that NAT gateway to private subnet, okay, to give the internet connectivity access basically, okay. So now coming to the VPC peering. VPC peering is basically, let's say we have two different VPCs. It might be in single AWS account, or it might be in different multiple AWS accounts, okay. So to attach two different VPCs to make the connection privately basically, private connectivity, in that situation we use VPC peering concept, okay. So to set how to set up the VPC peering, it's very straightforward and the simple process, okay. If you do the hands-on practical on the VPC, okay, so you will get easily idea basically how to set up the VPC peering. Or if you guys want me to create the complete practical demo for the how to set up the VPC and the VPC peering basically, so just comment me in the comment box, okay. So I can I can create on that, okay. But let's do your hands-on practicals. If you really facing any kind of issues, just let me know in the comment box, so I will try to help you, okay. So now VPC endpoints, okay. So let's say we are using Lambda functions, okay, and that Lambda functions we want to use S3 bucket or other services where the public access required. So to avoid this kind of public access, okay, so we can use VPC endpoints. So VPC endpoints you can get from the here basically when you search the VPC, okay, in the service box, you will just get here endpoint services, okay. Peering connections also you will get here, okay, endpoint services and the endpoints. So here you can just simply create the endpoint basically. Let's say you want to access S3 bucket from the Lambda functions to perform any kind of file operations or whatever, okay. So instead of going through the public network, you can use VPC endpoint, so it will allow access within a VPC basically, okay. So you can see in the last time I have created this S3 bucket VPC endpoint, okay. So this way you can just create the VPC endpoint, okay. So now coming to the main part, which is migration strategy basically. So in the real time cases, lots of company do their migrations. It might be from one location to another, you know. What is the migration basically? Migration is basically, if I say the definitions, migrate any things or items from one location to another location, which is very simple definition, okay. Just migration. So now why we need migration, okay. So there could be definitely multiple reasons to migrate the any let's say in the technical terms, applications or database. We can't go by blindly and just just let's say just migrate the servers to cloud or Azure, okay. Why we need migration basically? So that is the first question, okay. So to segregate these questions I just mentioned here, first we can just if let's say we are using in the data center, okay. So there are multiple ways to migrate the applications. If your applications or infrastructure on premises, so you can just migrate to any other clouds like AWS, Azure, or GCP, or there are multiple cloud providers in the market, okay. So cloud to cloud migration, then cloud to on premises migration, okay. This might happen sometimes if there is a such kind of requirement comes, cloud to on premises migration, okay. So why we need migration basically? Let's say if you are the current infrastructure getting more cost or any scalable issues, limitations, okay, to resize the instance for the quicker manner, because nowadays client need faster delivery, right? So to achieve these kind of situations, most of the organization approaching to the cloud market basically, okay, as cloud as a they're hosting the services basically, okay. So cost is definitely matter there. If you are getting the large cost on the on premises servers or any current existing provider basically, it might be a cloud or any open stack kind of a hybrid cloud, okay. So now performance wise, definitely if you are getting the slow performance on any particular infrastructure, then we want to, in that situation we can just consider this as a migration, or we can just change the technology to migrate to any other provider basically. Okay, then scalability, as I said, we need scalable infrastructure in the today's era basically. Okay, then quick deployment, as I said, we need require quick deployment in if you look at the traditional way. So if you want to purchase any 2 GB RAM or hard drive, let's say, okay, or any 16 GB RAM or something, whatever the size, doesn't matter. So in the traditional way, what will happen, we need to go to the market or just give the PO order, purchase order to the vendor. Then he will check the stock basically, and he will purchase from their contractual vendor basically. Okay, it might take lots of time basically, 1 week or more than that. It's depend on available of the stock basically. But nowadays in the cloud market, okay, the cloud situation, we don't need to give any pre-order approvals and all the stuff. Okay, we have a AWS account access, we can within a quick few things, okay, few clicks, we can in upgrade or downgrade basically for the any servers, very easily manner, right, upscale or downscale. Okay, so that is the reason we can select as a migration. Then quick infra provision, just as I said, we don't need to give any PO order to purchase any resources, right, CPU, memory or something. Okay, within a few clicks we can just easily create the infrastructure on the AWS accounts. Okay, so these are the factor basically when we consider about the migration. Then what resources we can migrate, sorry, we can migrate any data basically or applications. It might be hosted on any VMs or physical machines. So, or if you want to migrate any database, basically, okay. If you have any database on premises server, so and you want to migrate it to cloud, basically RDS or institutional based database. Okay, it's depend on the situation and the project requirement. So this could be the reasons you want to items basically you want to migrate. Okay, so now we can look at the migration types basically. Okay, what are the migration types? So there are multiple ways we can migrate the servers basically. So it's a the first one is rehost, which is we normally called as a lift and shift. Okay, we directly without making any changes on the source machine, we can just simply migrate that machine or application to cloud services. Okay, like EC2 service in the, let's say for example, AWS EC2 service. Okay, or we require any urgent migration as we are facing the slowness issues or provision issues or and the resource limitations. Okay, so that could be the reason we do that. Okay, then any legacy applications, we are we are facing lots of issues and a hectic process to manage that applications. In that situation we can also think that. Okay, and we need when we need quick migration basically, because of very client requirement or any project requirement basically. Okay, the another one is replatforming. Okay, basically lift and optimize and shift basically. Okay, so during the migration basically, if you need any optimization on that applications or database, so we can just migrate to that cloud target service, as a cloud, let's say cloud. Then we do some necessary changes to optimize the performance, and we migrate and we make it live basically. Okay, then or sometimes we want to optimize for cloud service, cloud native features basically. Okay, so now the third one is re-architecturing, redesigning basically. So restructure, as I mentioned the bullet point here basically, when we require the restructuring basically, let's say we are using any legacy applications or any VMware, and we have applications or technology over there where we get the opportunity to optimize it. Okay, with the proper manner basically for the cost optimization, better performance, scalability, all the stuffs. And obviously we can also consider as a microservices there. So in the AWS nowadays, most of the architects suggest to use microservices. It's depend on the project to project use cases basically. Okay, so we can just think this kind of also the architecture migration strategy. Okay, then a retire means what's basically, sometimes what will happen in the on-premises servers, most of the cases we don't use any particular services or it doesn't require basically. Okay, so during the migration strategy we can just keep those part, and whatever the required basically we can just migrate only those the things basically. It might be a database or applications or any APIs basically. Okay, so we can just think on that during this kind of migration strategy. Okay, So now which tools will help out us to migrate these applications or database or data basically, okay. So there are from the AWS sides, there are the services like server migration service, okay, which is in the and the second is AWS migration hubs, where we centralize, we can track the migration status. Then application discovery service, okay. Cloud endure, I think it's a paid one, you can just go through and check. Database migration service for the, it's basically DMS, database migration service. So to migrate the database from on premises to cloud or any other cloud to this one, AWS cloud basically, RDS. Then data sync service, sync service is used to migrate the any kind of data basically. If you have a different AWS accounts and you want to migrate any S3 bucket data from that source AWS account to your account basically, yeah, okay. So in that situation, data sync service is very best options to, you can use that seamlessly, you can easily manner basically. And snowball, this required basically when you have a larger amount of data. Let's say you have a e-commerce websites or any where you have, you know, large records or data, you have more than TB basically. So in that situation you can use snowball, okay. If you're already aware about the snowball, or let me just give you the some s- images basically, so you can just get idea what is the snowball basically. So you can see this kind of device basically, okay, in the snowball. So it's a ready-made device where you can just plug in on your physical data center and just copy the data, and this snowball will transport it to AWS Amazon data center, okay. Then they will copy as a locally from their side, okay. So this device, but this device is used only for the larger scale of the data, okay, not for the, you know, a smaller data like in GB, okay. So because it's a costly one, right? So now see now, if you look at the migration planning now, so we can't directly go and just migrate the data in one night, right? This could be happen in the small scale industry, okay, because there is no proper planning sometimes, or they feel like we need urgency and we can do quickly, okay, in within one night. So and there might be, if there are no any major dependency, they can do, okay. But in the larger organization, they can't do this kind of hurry situation for the migration basically, okay. So we need to proper discovery and the planning basically when we do migrations, okay, or before migration basically. We need to analyze all the data, current data basically. What is the, let's say you want to migrate the database, okay. So for the current situation, current scenarios, how much database size you have, how much users created in the database, how much what we can say dependencies, criticalness, okay, how much maintenance window or downtime we can take during the migration basically, how much transaction happening, it's a sensitive data or what things basically, okay. You need to collect all the informations, where that database use in applications, how many applications are using that database. These kind of situation, or all the steps we need to collect before the submit the proposal for the migration basically, okay. Yeah. Then we need to submit the plan basically to the client or manager, respective technical manager or DMDS basically, delivery manager, who gets approval like we have this plan basically. And we can migrate to this cloud service. And also during the discovery or planning basically, you also need to mention the which is a feasible options from on premises to AWS cloud basically, which services you can use during the migrations, and how they can give you the more benefit than the on premises, okay. These are the complete flow, you need to first documented it properly, okay, with the all the outputs basically, how we can give the more outputs benefits uh, after this migration basically to the organization, okay. Obviously that if I say that bullet points, cost is obviously matter, okay. If you save lots of costs after the migration, that also you can just highlight. Then performance wise, okay, and your deployment strategy, all the process basically, okay. These are the some points you can just highlight those, how you can give the benefits for the after the migration basically, okay. Then once you get the proper submission of the proposal, then client approvals or your technical manager approvals or architecture approvals basically, then you can just create the Jira ticket to just track the migration status basically, okay. Then you can't go directly to the production migration directly, okay, because this is very critical task. Migration is not a joke basically, okay. If you lose any single kind of data for the business critical data basically, it will be a very risky, okay. So first you can just do testing and the POC basically, proof of concept, on your dev environment basically, okay. You can just do migration strategy, or you can use migration, okay, over there. And you can just do whatever the changes you need after the migration. You can just note down all the stuffs, you can documented it properly, okay. And after documented, you can just, if you are ensure like yes, this way we can just we can migrate the data, okay, with the proper manner. And how, which kind of difficulties you will face, challenges face during the migration, you can just note down. And you can just note down how we can resolve this, okay. Once you ensure that, you will get, and you will get confidence, this way we can migrate the database for the production ones. Then you can just pick any maintenance window, like where the, like a Saturday Sunday weekend basically, you can take the any downtime. Then you can proceed with the actual migration, okay. But in the migration, you also need to think one more thing basically, note down. If your database continuously getting the data from the applications, either you can just temporarily just stop it, or take a full complete downtime window, okay, for that situation. So you can't lose any single data basically, okay, if it's a transaction related data or any other stuffs, okay. If you want to do live migration, obviously there will be a more options over there. You can do one time migration, then whatever the changes data you have received, you can just sync later on, okay, this way. Obviously you need to maintain the documentation basically, to how to guide basically, which steps you can just follow the team wise, okay. There, so if you are architecture, it's not your single job. It will be involve multiple teams, right? Database team, application team, tester team, okay. You need to come and communicate with the all the teams basically, okay. Also you need to make a rollback plan here. Let's say after the migrations, if you get any surprise issues, or issue occurred basically, so how you can just manage the situation. So you also have a rollback plan there, okay. And after the migration basically, post migration activity, the tester team or other team basically, they can just do testing over there after the migrations, okay. Where whatever the changes you have done, all the stuffs, that tester QA team will need to test properly basically, end to end flow. Once they are ensured, then you also after the migration, you need to monitor the infrastructure and the logs basically, if there are getting any issues or in the error log basically, okay. So this way you can use the migration strategy basically. I hope you got the points basically. If you have additional any questions basically apart from these, okay, you can definitely ask in the comment box. Or if you have a better migration strategy over there, so you can definitely add those points as well in this migration strategy, okay, according to your experience and the use cases, okay. So I think that's all for the today's session. So we will see day 5 tomorrow basically. It will be a last session for AWS free bootcamp basically, okay. Hope you guys enjoy this all the sessions basically, and it will definitely help out you in to increase your confidence and the technical skills basically, okay. So yeah, that's all for the today's session. We will see in the next section with the day 5, okay.